So just logging.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see all of you here. I'm very happy to be in the midst of so many like-minded people. And this afternoon, I'm really happy to be talking about resilience, a topic that is very relevant for the times that we are living in. As you are aware, globally, there is a challenge that is facing the whole world, and that's the COVID-19 virus. And you know, at a personal level, there are different things that people are going through. Somebody said that change is the only constant in life. And so we live with change, we live with obstacles, we live with wonderful things that we plan to do, and yet the road to those things may not always be smooth. There are bumps. And so developing resilience is very crucial in helping us deal with this. And I'm really excited to be talking about this today because I know that it's something that we always need. And so we shall be talking more as we progress, and I'm very happy to see all of you.
Thank you so much, Madam Coletta. Even as we proceed, I also want to urge our audience and everyone, in case you have some questions, feel free to type in our chats. Then also on Facebook, you can always write your question in the comment section, and we'll be able to address them. Also, if you want to ask my panel direct questions, you will raise your hands, and we will definitely give you a chance. Now, allow me again to welcome our second speaker, goes by the name Paul Peter Otieno. He's the founder of Live Your Dream Limited Company. He's an author of two amazing books called Live Your Dream in 7 Days. He also authored a book of Making of a Symphony Orchestra. He is an ICT consultant. He is a leadership trainer. He is an amazing person to listen to. I want to tell you, stay glued to listen to him. Allow me to welcome Mr. Paul Peter to make his opening remarks. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Peter. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Alan, and all the people who've joined this meeting. You see, I'm reminded of somebody who said that if you realize that a day can begin and then it ends without you learning anything, then you know you are getting old. So this is one of the days to prove for yourself that you're not getting old. Let's keep learning. We are on the learning track. Resilience it is. We hope to, you will be able to enjoy the session. Have a good afternoon. Yes, Alan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Peter. And one thing you ought to understand about Mr. Paul Peter, he believes in building people to build organization, because once you build people, they will definitely go out there and build a brilliant organization that will be able to catapult us to greatness. Last but not least, on the panel, we have an amazing leadership coach. He's a speaker, he's an author. Oh my, I can't really find the right word to describe him. He's also a founder of Global Leadership Network and also Generational Authors of Kenya Association. He has authored several books, more than 10 of them, and an outstanding book is A Power of Your Gift. He is also a husband, a father, and he believes that there is a gold within you. Keep digging it in the right place. Welcome, Mr. Joseph Kiarie, to make his opening remarks.
Great. Hi, everyone. It's great to have you today. It has taken a lot of resilience to have you on board and just to hang out with you guys. And I'm sure we are here for value. So within this 1 hour, so much that we're going to share. And the big question for every authentic leader at this particular moment is how to be part of the solution in the current situation that we are facing. It is this conviction that propelled us just to think and feel we need to come out and be able to share with you guys and see how we can be able to build each other. and to be able to stand with Kenyans at this particular time and the world at large. The common statement in this season has been, we are in this together, and we believe that we shall emerge better together with such kind of interactions. So stay put for more that will follow shortly. Thank you.
Wow, wow. I'm already excited to be able to learn from this panel and to also, get to know what I need to do and what I don't need to do in this pandemic and in the midst of crisis. You guys, I want to say you are a special breed of personalities to have known. And I'll be your host of the day. My name is Alan Lawrence. In case of any questions, we will be there to answer you. Direct, so that we end the chase. I want to ask Madam Coletta to explain to us, what does she understand by resilience, and how can one know that it is very important to develop resilience in order to achieve their dreams? Thank you.
Alan, sorry, some people seem to be having their background with a lot of noise. If we can control that, anyone who is not speaking, just keep your mic muted. It will help to be, for everyone to be audible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Peter. I was asking, I had directed a question to Madam Coletta to define for us what is resilience, and more importantly, why is it key for one to develop resilience? Your mic is muted. Your mic is muted, Madam Coletta.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was saying thank you very much, Alan, and thank you, Paul Peter, for that observation. So what is resilience? I find that the easiest and the best way to define resilience for me is think about it as bouncing back, the ability to bounce back after a setback, the ability to bend without breaking. And so when you think about it, the kind of imagery that comes to mind is a ball or a rubber band that you can stretch and then, for it to get back to where it was when you release it. And so it's all about being able to build your capacity to handle challenges, setbacks, adversity without being thrown under by them. And I mean, these setbacks or challenges can be anything from a health challenge to perhaps loss of work or loss of somebody you love, or just anything that's dear to you. And you asked another question, why it's important to develop resilience. Like I said, when I was starting, change is a part of life. Setbacks are a part of life. Obstacles are a part of life. And so developing this resilience just ensures that we are able to deal with this when they happen. It's preparedness, just in a similar way that you would take out, for example, an insurance. When you have an insurance for your property and something happens, maybe an accident or theft, burglary, then the insurance will, because you have a policy, then the insurance company will indemnify you and help you get back to that original position. So I like to think about resilience in that way, being able to prepare yourself and guard yourself against being swept away when disaster happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll direct the same question to Mr. Paul Peter. Why is it important for one to develop resilience, especially during this crisis?
Good question. One thing I learned a long time ago is a statement that I still hold dear everywhere, that old man failure will always be on the way to success, waiting for those who fail the persistence test. Old man failure will always be on the way to success, waiting for those who fail the persistence test. And lack of that persistence, lack of that endurance, that is what is atop the list of those who fail, those who are called failure, where failure in this case means you had set to achieve a particular goal, a particular objective, but then you quit. So the moment somebody sets out to achieve a certain objective, then get to know that all the odds somewhat are against you. I remember a long time ago when I had set out some goal to achieve in a particular business, a mentor of mine told me, now remember that the devil is not happy and all wrong things are going to happen to you. You must choose not to give up. So 2 ways to fail: failing to start and failing to finish. I had started, and all of us somewhat always get started. The question is, do we fail to finish? Because then we have failed. So therefore, without resilience, it means we have cut a ticket to fail. We have cut a ticket not to succeed. And that's why it's very important that each and every one of us has that persistence. Otherwise, there is no there is no seed of success in us. Thank you. I think that was the question, why it's important, right?
Wow, thank you so much. You did justice to it. Now to you, Mr. Kiarie. During this pandemic, as the way you've said, the common words that are coming out is pandemic and the like. So how can one build resilience in this season?
Great. I'll just recap on, just to catch on what my colleagues have mentioned. And maybe I'll approach that question by briefly talking about the context. The keywords now are words like crisis, words like resilience, words like fear. These are some of the words that have really become like a daily dose to most of us. And we might need maybe just to get a glimpse of what does some of these words mean as I come towards how to build resilience. And every time we talk about a crisis, it's just an event that happens in our circumstance or in our situation. And it's affecting us, like the COVID is affecting us either indirectly or directly. And we may not have control or even a responsibility. It's something that came and here it is. So it's basically, we're talking about a change within our environment. And in such moments, in moments of crisis, there are turning points. There are moments of crossroads, moments of critical decisions, moments of a lot of self-reflection, and sometimes difficult and possibly unfavorable decisions must be made during those moments. And crisis refines us. Crisis also reveals a lot. I've interacted with the people and there is a shift of thinking in some of them. And this means that there is something that we are learning. Just as Paul Peter said, learning is a continuous curve. Even in these moments, there are a lot of lessons that we can be able to pick around. So, and also crisis brings commonality of purpose. We are here together because we feel that we can be able to add more value and we can be able to hold one more hand out there and be able to push on to the next level without losing hope. So basically crisis creates a gap. Sometimes it raises the bar and it places demand on creativity and resilience. And this is where we are now. That is why we need to focus on this issue of resilience so that we can be able to emerge better, as I said in my opening statement. I will mention this. There is a very common Asian proverb that claims a cat has 9 lives. For 3, he plays. For 3, he strays. And for the last 3, he stays. So some people believe the 9 lives myth is related to cats' ability to always stand or land on their feet. And basically, crisis is, how do I ensure that I will always land on my feet, regardless of what is happening around us? Cats are always known for their dexterity and agility, that ability to be able to quickly think around, and before falling on their stomach or their hands, they are already on their feet. And that is the critical issue that we are facing now. Despite what is happening within our environment, despite the shifting, probably some they are no longer employed, the businesses are no longer functioning as they used to be. Now, how do we land on our feet? And this is now the key term, which is resilience. And as we have said, resilience is just a matter of adapting to the new changes, accepting that change has come, and probably there are a lot of shifting that we need to engage in. And how do I cope? And then how do we adjust? So when we are talking about success, in other terms, we are talking about resilience, because potential minus resilience will always remain dormant potential. And success purely is built on resilience. I'll give an example of great people who have been successful, but they have failed many times. They have failed, they have encountered a lot of challenges, but what kept them going is that even when they failed or when they encountered the challenges, they did not give in, but they reinvented themselves. They reinvented their thinking. They reinvented their relationships. Some made very drastic decisions, like Lincoln, one of the best stories. So how to build resilience? One, hang out with guys who are thinking in your mind, that guys who can build you. Like you guys are hanging out with us today, and I'm sure we are here for value, and we are here together to ensure that as we finish this, all of us will have developed that trigger again in us to be able to land on our feet and move to the next level. So one of the issues that I can mention is relationships, and also that continual learning. I've said learning is a continuous curve, and as we engage more, we get better. So let me pause there. I will continue getting deeper as we move on. Thank you, Alan. Hello, Alan.
Hello, sorry, I had a technical hitch over here. But I was following it. Thank you so much. Now, they say we are meant to believe that your friends are the mirror of your future. Your friends, they either make you, develop you, or they break you. So as far as relationships are concerned, does a relationship play any role in matters resilience, or does the relationship help one to develop resilience? I'll ask, I direct the question to Mr. Otieno Paul.
True. Relationship is very critical, and as Kyrie has said, we've got to be aware of the type of people we keep around. And I remember again, a number of years ago, like 10 probably, I was attending a conference somewhere, I think it was in Cape Town. And I met a business leader who had started a very big business in Africa in 1971. And he had come from the US. So he was giving us a story that when he chose to come to Africa, his mother told him, "Why the hell are you going to Africa? You will die there. Yeah, it's a very hostile place," and all sorts of things. And then this was his conclusion. He ended up coming anyway. And his business is now in Africa, Australia, and many other continents. He said, the people who love you the most will give you the worst advice. Most times, people will discourage you. And it's not that they hate you, only that they don't have enough understanding. And this is where we also have problems with the so-called experts. Certain experts are too cautious to the extent that even where we need to leap with faith, they will caution you. So the people who surround you are very critical. If there are people who are going to drain your energy, you need to limit your relationship with them, and more so as far as your dream is concerned. You can keep other things, other social affairs, maybe you are attending some games together, but when it comes to discussing your dreams, you better know whom you want to ask and whom you want to relate with. Again, we are taught that you are an average of the 5 closest people to you. The 5 people you hang out with most will always determine where you're going to be 5 years from now. You are just but an average of them. So if their income is capped at a certain point, that is where you're going to be. So we must always be ready to make choices as far as whom we relate with is concerned, as part of building our resilience. There are several other ways of building resilience, and one of the ways I love most is facing the fire itself without running away. Because we've learned that after every crisis, you always emerge out wiser and better. Today, what we have today, I think it's much better than before post-COVID. Some people will not see it before COVID itself. Some people will not see it, but it will be apparent as we move along. After every crisis, we develop more skills, we develop a thicker skin, we become better people. And so one thing we must always take care of is to be sure that we don't run away from trouble. As a friend of mine, Brian Tracy, says, troubles come not to trouble you, but to train you. So whenever we see trouble, the question is, are we moving towards it? Are we running away, or are we just freezing? And the mental attitude that we put when we are moving towards a trouble, or when we are handling a crisis, will always determine how better or how we come out of it, if we ever come out at all. I love saying that even during the concentration camp and all those problems that the Jews went through, the people who came out were people who developed what I call the mental toughness. And most times it is positive expectation. It doesn't matter what you're going through, we must keep that element of positive expectation. We are expecting that it doesn't matter where we are, things are going to get better. That's why the psalmist also wrote that even when I'm walking in the dark valley of death, even there you are with me. You see, and I think Paul also said it in the book of Romans that all things work together for those who love God. The idea is, it's not that all things are good. Some of them could be fire, some are flood, some are whatever crisis, but all of them work together for our good. And we are those people who are created by God, if we so believe. And so everything must work for us, whether it's wind, whether it's earthquake, whether it's pandemic, these plagues, COVID, whatever, they all work together to build us, to make us better. And by the end of the day, we become much better people. I love asking, when you're going to when you're experiencing a trouble, let's say you are driving, you want to be driven by somebody. Do you want to be driven by somebody who's not experienced road, who's not seen more problems, or you want somebody who has gone through many problems, many traffic jams, many issues, many challenges on the road? The same thing happens everywhere. And the more problems we can handle, the higher our value in the marketplace. We want to handle more problems. At one point I prayed to God, I want to see all the problems that people in my organization are likely to see, so that when they see it and run to me, I can relate my story. So I started from relationship. We must choose the relations that we have. We must detoxify by getting rid of those relations that don't build us, in order to keep that positive mindset. Then we must have positive expectation. Then we must always admit problems as opportunities to learn and grow and get better. And we must always expect the best. That's just the way it is. Thank you, Alan, for the time being.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Peter. Madam Coletta, the way Paul Peter has told us, and it comes out evidently that your friends are the mirror of your destiny. Your friends are the picture that portrays what you are going to experience. So in your own words, what do you think relationships play a key in building resilience?
Thank you, Alan, for your question. Of course, I do think relationships play a very key role in helping you build resilience. Imagine a situation where you stumble and fall, and there is no one to pick you up. And imagine a situation where you find yourself in new territory, because sometimes calamity or crisis can send us in a territory that we have not been to before, whether it is physically or whether it is, psychologically. We just find ourselves in a stressful place. And we had no one to talk to. We had no one who could give us advice. We had no one that, we could ask, chat with me or help me understand this, help me make sense of this. So, relationships are key because we are built for community. And in fact, I like the Ubuntu philosophy that says, I am because you are, and because you are, I am. So yes, relationships are important. And I do remember a time when we moved to Burkina Faso, me and my family. And one of the things that we did on getting there is just to try and acquaint ourselves with people, fellow foreigners and even Burkinabes, and just try to understand from them what's this place like, what are the seasons. It's one thing to read about the Harmattan winds. It's one thing to actually experience the Harmattan winds. And so just being able to form those relationships and get somebody holding your hand and showing you, here is the market, here is where you go when you need to buy fish, here is where you go when you need to pay for water and all sorts of things. So building those relationships, building that social capital is really key in helping you navigate new territory and get to learn things about the new space that you're in and get to prepare yourself to bounce back. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you so much, Madam Coletta. Before I proceed, I have seen my good friend Apostle Freeman from all the way from Mombasa. I wish him to add his voice on relationship, whether relationship can help somebody develop resilience. Thank you. Apostle, your mic is off. Your mic is off.
Oh, how are you this evening?
We are fine.
Yeah, I want to thank God for what you are doing. What I can say, relationship is very important when it comes to anyone, whether it is in business, whether it is in church, whether it is in anything that we are doing in this life. Relationship is very, very important. And because I have just joined, I would like us to continue. We continue with what you are doing. Then I will get in after I get the whole concept of what you're talking about.
Thank you so much, Apostle. We were discussing on matter relationship, and we've from our two panelists, we've come to understand that relationship will play a role in either enabling you to build resilience or not. So I'll also want Mr. Kierie also to add his voice on the matter relationship and resilience.
Thank you. Someone said one is too small a number to make a difference. Yes, one can make a difference, but the compounding factor is based on the relationships and the people that we work together. And I think one issue that is very critical is that our relationship forms our social mirror. Sometimes we are not able to clearly see some power and potential in us, and therefore the issue of relationship is very key as part of the social mirror. sometimes they also take us to the inner world. I remember when I started these talks, I didn't know how much I could do. I didn't know how much I could go, but I could speak and someone would come and say, wow, I think this is your thing. Yeah, so such kind of affirmation came handy, and it has helped me to be who I am and to be able now to come to this level and also add value to others. But critically, when it comes to relationship, is one area that we need a lot of courage, because along the journey, you will drop some, you will adopt some. Along the journey, you will grow. And sometimes it's very difficult if you are in an environment where growth is not a culture, and you have decided to make a difference, you have decided to develop yourself, you are growing, and you cannot grow your friends, you cannot grow your relationships. And that means probably you need to connect to the next level, because we need to continuously grow. Therefore, very important to have and treasure relationship, but always do a checklist on are they numbers or are they value? That is really important. We're not saying that we ignore some people, but we are saying we can still treat each relationship at a different case. Each relationship at its own position. There are people that I hang with because I know after that I will have grown. There are people that I hang with because after that I will have released some stress, not really in terms of growth, but in terms of other aspects. So this is really critical. We need to appreciate this, that the far we can go, it also depends with the environment and the surroundings that we form around us. So relationships are key, but check on value, and also check, are they reflecting that potential in you? Are they triggering you to the next level? Are they propelling you to the next level? Sometimes I normally talk about the triangle of success. If you draw a triangle, you will see at the bottom, the base is very big. But as you move up, at the tip is very sharp. So, and this tip, that is where most of the successful people are. And it's a very small percentage. Why? Because they trim a lot. They come from the base where everyone is maybe ordinary, and they set out to specialize, they set out to be unique, and they build resilience along the curve of moving up. So you realize sometimes as you grow, it is possible for your relationship also to be very minimized, to become very selective. And it's not bad, because it is what we are all trying to look at. What is the value I'm getting from the relationship that I'm building around me? Thank you, Mr. Alan.
Wow, thank you so much. You know, this is the area that you find most of the people today that are struggling. You know, it is so much easier to say goodbye to people who are your enemies, but it takes high integrity and high top-notch wisdom to be able to say goodbye to some relationship that they are very dear to us, but they are not helping us to go anywhere. So thank you so much for that. Now, I will also wish to ask, does like the panel is saying over and over that you know, it's good to develop resilience. But are there any benefits of developing resilience as far as success pre and post any crisis is concerned? I direct my question to Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Alan. As I mentioned before, there are lots of benefits, and it's an essential ingredient in pursuing your dreams. You know, all the times I talk about live your dream. If you're going to live your dream and you have really some dream big enough, you must be sure that you're going to meet obstacles on the way. And if you are not armed with this ingredient called resilience, which makes you to be persistent enough, then the guy I mentioned before, the old man failure, is going to thwart your endeavor. It's going to stop you on the way, and you will be part of the statistics. And one thing I love saying is, later when you look back, you'll always regret that there is this which I didn't mention, which I didn't achieve. I had set out to achieve it, but I didn't achieve it. And the same circumstances that you think or that you claim stopped you, you'll realize that they are the very same circumstances that some of the people were able to withstand. I like relating this. Most times I meet people who say they did not go to school because of lack of school fee. For whichever reason, I've not been able to buy that reasoning. Why? Because I've learned that somebody told me when I was also struggling with school fees. I was struggling with secondary school fees, and when we were talking about university, I asked, but if I can't even afford secondary school, how will I even afford university? Then he told me, that is not your problem. Your problem is to pass. Just ensure you pass exam. The rest will fix themselves. And it's true. I realized that the moment we set our minds on a particular price, somewhat ways are made. Yes, whenever I'm speaking to large audience in a whole sort of thing, sometimes I demonstrate this by calling somebody from behind to come in front. Then immediately you see people moving for this person to get a way to come to the front, to the podium where you are speaking. And that is literally the way things happen. The moment you've chosen and you've figured out where your prize is and you start moving towards that, there will be obstacles, but a way will always come out, will always be created. And that happens because you are clear about where you're going, you know the price you want to pay, and you are persistent enough. You never say die, as we are told. The other example I love, and I've written a whole chapter about this. I usually call it disappointment. I love saying that you must learn to disappoint your disappointments by your discipline. Why? The discipline is now whatever you had chosen to do every day, no matter how many times you get disappointed, like bouncing a ball and it keeps coming up and you bounce it, it doesn't get tired, it will always come back. That is it. So without this sort of resilience, without this lack of knowledge of failure, I call it, because you don't recognize failure, you always go on and on. Like Kyrie said, you know, we always hear of this Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 times to come up with a light bulb. 10,000 is too big. Very few people reach the fourth. They tried 3 times, but 10,000 you can imagine. But then what did he say? That positive expectation which I talked about. He said, no, I just learned 10,000 ways through which not to make a bulb. So he knew one day it will work. One day it will work. So without this persistence, he wouldn't have made it. Without this very persistence, we wouldn't be having aeroplanes today. The 3 Wright brothers, you can imagine when people have never seen anything flying except birds, and then you tell them, I'm going to fly. We are going to fly somewhere, someday on air. They were told, you guys are mad. You can't even hang yourself on air for 1 minute. But you see, it is their persistence. So, you need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for your insight and wisdom on the subject matter. Now, Madam Coletta, it is so much evident that the formula for success has to have resilience in the picture. So, do you think resilience has an impact towards your success, in your own words?
Thank you, Alan, once again for that question. And I would like to take you to this story in the Bible about Joseph interpreting Pharaoh's dream, where Pharaoh has this dream of...
Can you
hear me?
Now, yeah, now it's clear. You can come on. Now it's clear.
Okay. Yeah, so I had started saying that I'll take you back to this story in the Bible where Joseph interprets this dream for Pharaoh. where Pharaoh dreams that there are 7 cows that are very healthy looking, and they're nice and beautiful, and then 7 very scrawny looking cows and thin come and eat up the 7 healthy cows. And Joseph interprets this dream to mean, there will be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of drought. And he doesn't leave it there. He advises Pharaoh to ensure that during the 7 years of plenty, Pharaoh, the land stores up grain and food, so that when the 7 years of drought come, the land is protected. In other words, they were building resilience against the effects of that drought. And what happened when the drought came is that the land of Egypt was the only land that had food, and people came from far and wide to buy that food. And so if that isn't success, then how else would you define success? So yes, all that to say that building resilience is very, very important for future success, because it is future looking, it is creating strategy, it is looking at different scenarios, it is being ready, it is thinking about the risks that can come and figure out different ways to manage these risks. And I'm also reminded of another story of this young man, let's call him Joshua. Joshua was employed as a messenger in a company in downtown Nairobi. That was quite a few years back. And while he was working as a messenger, Joshua took time and enrolled in a course where he studied accounting. And he invested money, he invested time, he disciplined himself to go to school and earn his qualification in accounting. And, with time, he was able to move from that job to another job where, he earned more money. The job exposed him to, many more different ways of growth, different aspects about life in a company. And he was able to grow himself professionally and even to grow his family from there. And so, again, that is a success. And he was, for Joshua, it was also a way of building resilience in what is called vertical development, increasing his capacity to do, not just be a good messenger, but to move on and to do something else, so that in the future, he's able to put away some money, he's able to have some savings, he's able to support his family in, a higher level than he was able to support them when he was doing this other job. So yes, all that to say that building your resilience is also a way to ensure that you are building your success, not just for you, but even to be able to strengthen and to empower the people around you. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I will wish to give this opportunity to one of our audience to be able to ask a question or to have their comment to the panel. If you have any question, you can proceed. Good to see you, Huawei Y9 Prime. In case you have a question, you can ask my panelists as we proceed. Apostle Freeman, what is your thought on building resilience towards success, whether post or pre any crisis, be it Corona or any other crisis? Thank you. I know we have. Let me throw this question to Huawei Y9 because he has not identified himself. I'll ask him to give their comment or their question. Okay, Apostle, I can see you. So we were just asking, what are your thoughts, or which question do you have towards my panel on how to build resilience? Or the question was, how does resilience play a role towards success, whether post or pre any crisis?
we must understand that resilience is built on relationship. And we have to understand that the relationship that you have with people builds resilience thereafter. This means if your relationship with people it is poor, then in the time of crisis, when you face crisis, when you jump to your friends, they will all run away to you. Therefore, you have to make sure that the relationship that you have with people, it is intact. Because if it is not intact, when you are not in crisis, and you are treating your friends as if they are not as business partners, that makes that shows even in the time of futuristic, when you'll be having a crisis, when you need them, they will also run away. So I would say that the quality of the relationship that you have with people, the quality of the time, the quality and the depth of the relationship that you have matters a lot in the time of crisis or in the time of crisis when you have difficulties. We can see even the time of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those young men, they had intact relationship, even if they had difficult times, but the relationship that they had was intact, and they used, and also they helped one another. This means that if you are, the relationship that you have with people determines, so you have to select your friends. You have to know whether they are in, you feel them the way they feel you, or they are just fake friends or fake relationship. You know, there is also fake relationship that we encounter with people. You can one way think that you have a friend, or the friendship you have with Alan, it is intact, but in another way, it is you thinking like that. But Alan is far away from you. So we have to make sure that the friendship that we have with people, it triggers our resilience in future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for your submission. Allow me to direct this question to Mr. Kiaria. In your own opinion and in your own research as a speaker, what are some of the strategies that one can use in order to build resilience in a moment of crisis, or how they can tackle unexpected expectations?
Yeah, thank you. The most successful people and organization are not really those who have a lot of capacity in terms of resources, but the major resource is in the people that they have within the organization. And especially a very special quality for an individual and organization, especially during this period, is that ability to be able to disintegrate and reintegrate quickly and successfully. Because there are systems that are going to change during this period. As we said, there are also relationships that are going to change during this period. So this really is very key when it comes to how to build that resilience in this particular season that we are in. And just a few, I think we have been dealing with one of the core issues, which is a relationship. But that ability, the mental capacity, or the inner ability to be able to shift, there is what we call the resilience rating. And on the lower level of on the resilience rating is a category of people we call change averse. And then in the middle, we have those people who are slow to change. And on the other side, we have the people we call the change agents. And the difference is really the appreciation of change and that accepting that sometimes seasons and times and events will come and disintegrate what we knew, what we had learned. And I wrote a book about crisis leadership, and there are stages that we go through during every period of crisis. And the first stage is always denial, always denial. The issue of COVID, when it came up, nations, some countries took time to adjust, to accept that it's a reality. Probably even now, there are still some who are trying to come to terms with what is happening, even the individual. So that is one of the category that we call maybe the change averse, but it's very natural. It's very natural for any new event that happens before we appreciate the hope and the new lessons that we can be able to pick. So in the resilience rating, it's a matter of shifting as quickly as we can, bouncing back, adapting. We can start from the change averse, but by now we need to have moved. We saw the governments moving from, some of them from denial, the next stage to containment, and then they moved on from one stage to another. It's very critical, the ways we can be able to build resilience. I think I'll also mention the resilience scale. The resilience scale has two sides, where we have a fractum at the middle, and then on the two sides, whatever side you add more weight, it balances or it falls on one side. And one side is what we call the negative influence, the negative experiences, the negative aspects that we have accommodated. If you noticed, during resilience, there is so much information flowing around, be it in social media, be it from the media, the TV stations, all over. A lot of communication is coming in. Some will drive fear and instill fear from one stage to another until people lose hope. And therefore, that ability to be able to see which side do I want to feed more? Do I want to feed the side that will give a negative weight and pull my scale on one side, or I can choose to feed the other side, which gives the positive influence by some of the relationships, as we have said, by some of the engagements, by probably the growth curve, what I'm building myself on. In this period, as authors, we have been able to write books, but sometimes not even at individual level, is where we come together and say, guys, what can we do? Yes, we are here. We are being told to work at home. We just engage and we realize, no, we can become a support system to each other. We can be able to trigger that one more trial to be able to move on. So in the scale, the more we feed, the side that we feed, that is how our resilience scale, or the side that the resilience scale will fall. And there's something we call the toxic stress. This one comes from the information we allow into our inner man. And I think that is why it's written that guard your heart, because it's a factory. Whatever comes in processes and it takes over your life, and it determines the habits that we end up practicing. So we can move on from stress, toxic, to tolerable stress, and then to positive stress. And in the positive stress, we are asking ourselves, yes, guys, there is a problem, but here we are. Can we be part of the solution? Yes. How do we become part of the solution? Let's engage Kenyans. Let's talk about how we can be able to build resilience. Even if you have fallen, can you fall on your feet? As I started by mentioning the issue of that cat. So there are many factors, there are many ways, but I think above all, high elasticity, because another definition of resilience is elasticity. High elasticity is a requirement for high dreamers and high performers, because there are many potholes along the journey. And if you throw in one shot and you count it as if it's all, then it's very easy to give up. But with high elasticity, you can continuously exercise your muscles, the brain muscles, and be able to tap into more potential that is within us. So a sense of purpose, very important. Look at a match, a boxing match. How do you endure 9 rounds? You're beaten in one, you get back, beaten in another one, you get back, and probably eventually you become a winner. There is a sense of, why am I in this game? And maybe I feel this is one of the questions that most of us will be asking ourselves. Am I in the right game? Can I sacrifice for the game that I'm in? Can I sacrifice for that job? Can I sacrifice for that business? Am I really in the game that I'm supposed to be playing? Because being in the right game is a key factor for building or enhancing resilience, because you are in for a purpose, you are in for a cause. It's like David, you are ready to face the giant because it's for a cause. Those are some of the few issues, and we'll engage more as we continue. Thank you so much, Mr. Alan.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kirie, for those deep insights. If we follow them, we will surely reach ourselves. Allow me to recognize a few people here. I know we are international. I can see Trinity all the way from Southern Sudan. I can be able to see Stanley Ethel from all the way from Turkana. I can be able to see Mr. Peter Njau, a fellow author, and Mr. Tim from Kisumu, if I'm not wrong. I can be able to see Fidelis, Gatuna, Joshua, and I will mention others as we continue. Now, the same way, I'll throw this question to Madam Coletta. What are some of the strategies that one can be able to develop and to be able to build their resilience? I am a firm believer, because I've interacted with you guys. We preach what we do, because we do not live our lives like signposts, showing people direction to places we've never been. So I know you are going to give us insights that really work for you, and surely will work also for our lives. So take it from them, Madam Colette.
Thank you, Lauren. May I kindly request for people to mute their mics if they're not speaking, because I can hear a bit of noise. Thank you very much. So what are the strategies that we can use for building resilience? We've, as we've gone on in this conversation, we have alluded to different strategies. Joseph talked about, just building our mental muscles to be able to handle stress. That's, talking about mental resilience. We had talked about, when I spoke about the situation with Pharaoh's dream, being able to put stuff away when times are good, so that it can come in handy when times are not so good. Just looking at, I would call it a saving culture, if I may, just having that foresight to look into the future and know that there is something called storing away or saving for a rainy day. And other ways I would say is being able to build yourself up in the different aspects of your life, not just mentally or socially, but looking at also your spiritual sphere, building spiritual resilience, seeing to it that you are building that discipline to stay in shape, reading the word, staying close to the Lord, staying close to your brothers and sisters in fellowship, so that you're able to stand even when trials come. And building emotional resilience, where you are keeping yourself in a state of positivity emotionally, so that when you receive a hit, for example, dealing with rejection, when it happens, you are able to bounce back and not decide, for example, I will never fall in love again because I fell in love last year and somebody broke my heart. When you take the time to understand, first of all, Peter Njau, could you kindly mute your mic? Thank you.
I've muted for him.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so personal disciplines in the kind of things that we read, the way we develop our skills, whether they are skills to cope with change, to cope with rejection, to cope with hardship, and allowing our mindsets to be shaped so that we do not stay with a fixed mindset that thinks, okay, now this thing has happened, I am doomed. But adopting a growth mindset that says, okay, here is a situation, it has come, and I will see what effort I can make, or I will learn something new, or I will build myself so that I am able to grow from this situation into a higher level. And having foresight, developing professional and personal skills, developing discipline, eating healthy, staying healthy, exercising. All these are different ways in which we are able to build different levels of resilience for ourselves so that we stay strong and so that we are able to face anything that happens to us. Alan, I am done.
Wow, thank you so much, so much. You know, I was just sunk in and writing. You know, it's a really learning experience. Before I allow Mr. Paul to give his thoughts, I have a question from Stanley Ethel, all the way from the great county of Turkana. You can ask your question, Stanley.
First and foremost, thank you so much for the collect material. The panelists. And again, I would like to apologize for just asking the panelists today. Is that how can we be able to design the mindset, our mindset in times always starts with the mind? And the second question is, how can we develop maybe a positive mindset in a community where the youth have lost hope that they cannot be able to come out or maximize their potential? I think those are the two questions, that how can you be able to develop the mindset again in resilience, and also how can you be able to develop the mindset in a community maybe the youth have lost hope? Thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you so much. I understand why Stanley has asked the question. You know, we have a narrative that people in Turkana, we are uncivilized, and you know, Turkana has produced people like Stanley and I. So as I'll allow Paul Peter to answer the question, and also as he before you answer the question, Paul Peter, I wish you give us some strategies that one can be able to use in order to build resilience.
Thank you, Alan. I think as I answer this, as I speak about certain strategies, they will also answer the same question, because I think he's been able to ask how people can change their mental attitude. These people, mostly young people who are seeing like every situation is going haywire. And today, if we look around, we realize that many people are emotionally broken. We realize, we see a lot of people giving up, people committing suicide, people getting into domestic violence, people getting into alcoholism, and lots of things are taking place. And all these are manifestations that we are not well equipped emotionally and mentally. Now, one of the ways, and we had talked about relationships, but one of the key ways we usually recommend is check what you read. I'm a big advocate of avoiding news, and more so bad news. You know, most times you are not in charge of what they are going to air. And a lot of people are not well equipped to be able to filter information. One of my mentors once told me, when I told him, well, you see, I limit my screen time, my time to be on, to be watching news and things like that. Then he told me, you see, yeah, at your level, you need to be doing a lot of that. Personally, at my level, I'm able to filter what I want to retain and what I don't want to retain. And that is very critical. Most people can't retain, and that's why even when COVID came in, a lot of people picked it in their hearts. So we must limit negative news, these social media things that always we are feeding ourselves with negative things, negative news, negative experiences. The other thing is we must read. Let's keep reading something positive. Let's listen to things that keep us inspired and trained. If we don't listen, if we don't build our minds, because our minds are the best tools that we have to take care of any situation, then we are going to sink. And one of the ways that people have done, feeding their minds the right things, more so in the mornings and even before you sleep, a lot of people have come out of such situations just by using certain quotes. For example, when Nelson Mandela was in the prison for 27 years, it is said that every day and every other moment he was sinking, he would speak the Invictus. There is a poem called the Invictus. No matter what happens, whatever, I am the master of my soul, the captain of my soul, the master of my fate, and something like that. I once read also how Donald Trump keeps himself positive. He's probably one of the most positive-minded people, despite all the negative publicity that he goes through. He keeps a list of quotes on his desk. Every day he sits down and reads them. He reads certain quotes, and he likes reading from Norman Vincent, Dr. Norman Vincent, the late Norman Vincent Peale, and his book on the power of positive thinking, something like that. And lots of other books. So people who've built their lives and who've been able to circumnavigate through the storms, they feed their minds with the right stuff. So we must read the right things. We must avoid negative news exposure. If it is, the Bible says, if you realize that your hands are taking you to sin, you cut it. Literally, in our situation, that would mean if you realize something that is limiting your life, you cut it. If it is social media, it's the Facebook, you log in and you are hearing people complaining, you cut it. 3 C's I was told to avoid, and I still avoid them. One is criticism. You keep criticizing, you don't feel positive. Condemnation and complaining. Don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain. If you have to complain, please come up with a solution, a suggested solution, but don't carry a lot of things in your heart. You remember some politician said last year but one, that don't even keep politics in your heart, yeah? Keep it in your lungs so that you breathe it out. So let's not keep a lot of negative in our minds. The other thing is forgiveness. This is very critical. Most people don't know, but if you keep some grudge with certain people, these things can even manifest into diseases in you, and your life turns to be a lot of mess. You must learn to forgive. It is not for their benefits, but for your benefit, personal benefit. We must release people and find a way to stay positive. I know it's a hard thing, but I've learned how to do it also. People will hurt you and do all sorts of things for you. But if you are going to stay positive, if you are going to build resilience, you must learn to forgive. A friend of mine said to me that one of the reasons I want to succeed is so that I prove the people who told me I will not succeed, I want to prove them wrong. So if you have certain enemies who probably are opposing you, they usually say the best revenge is massive success. Just succeed. You will be much, much better off. Don't think about it. I think that somewhat answers that friend's question and also adds into the list of strategies we can use. One, let's avoid negative news. As much as possible, you don't need to watch news. By the way, if something happens big enough, you will know. You don't need to watch news. Number two, read something many times in a day. And you know, people are different. Depending on how much negative you are, you may need to read a lot more. One of my mentors said, some people are so negative until they've fenced themselves with a negative wall around them. If you are such a person, you need to read more positive things, more encouragement, watch inspirational talks, read books, build yourself. Then again, do something that you love doing. You will keep positive and you will build your resilience. Focus on the future, focus on the ultimate success. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. And allow me to direct the same question that was asked to Mr. Kiarie. Why I'm directing the question to Mr. Kiarie is because he has an experience, a first-hand experience of living in Turkana, and he really understands how situation back in Turkana is. So allow me to bring him on board to be able to also to tackle that.
Hi, Stanley. Great. I'm a product of Turkana. I schooled at Lodwar Primary School from class 3 to class 8. And therefore I can relate with what you are saying. But the key motivation is that here we are today. From those humble beginnings, we are able to write over 10 books and be able to hook up with such guys who are like-minded. But one thing I would say is that define your vision and align everything else to your vision. Align your activities, align your objectives, align your daily programs based on that vision that you have defined. Because in one of my books, The Battle for the Soul, I've written that you either influence yourself or someone will still influence you. Our mind is like a garden. Either we grow something or we don't, there will always be something growing. And if I need a flower, it means I'll have to put in more effort. I'll be more resilient. I'll be more persistent. I'll be able to select what I'm feeding into that garden. So define your vision. Vision streamlines everything, streamlines our activities, our resources, our associations. It defines our daily activities. So this is really a process. Shaping our mindset is a process. One of the challenges that we are having in this, in our generation and in this era that we are living in an era of what we call instant gratification. I want it now, and if not now, right now. And mindset programming, it's a journey. It's a long process. It requires a lot of consistency. It requires a lot of support system around you. So this is a long journey. Ask an author and we shall tell you, if I think about a book in wholesome, I will never write one. I'll have to think of a book in chunks.
Very true.
Yeah, in chunks, probably even in pages, probably in chapters. And that is how, with time, I'll be able to deliver that baby, that book, because I've broken it down and I'm able to add one block after the other one. So it's a journey that we need to appreciate it that way. And sometimes you may not feel as if something is cooking. There is a story about a Chinese bamboo tree. And a Chinese bamboo tree, that seed stays underground for 5 years before it gets out, it germinates. For 5 years, the seed is there, you're watering, you are doing all that you're supposed to do as a fertilizer, as a farmer, but nothing is visible. But after 5 years, within about, I think 6 weeks, it grows about 8 feet within the 6 weeks. But the question is, it's not the 6 weeks. It is the 5 years that the farmer was consistent, watering the ground, watering the seed, something that he could not see. So as we program our mind, there are times even you doubt, am I really doing the right thing? Am I really growing? But when you engage, you realize, wow, I read a book some time ago. It stayed in my subconscious mind. So it's a journey that we need to appreciate it that way and be very consistent as we walk towards that journey. The era we are living in is the best. One, because there's a lot of information out there. So if you can filter clearly, even in your own small room or in your big room or in your own location, you can create an environment of growth because we are having a lot of resources online. This is a big advantage that we can be able to tap into. So I've walked the journey as Stanley you have asked, and in that area where you are, you can be able to create an environment and be able to nurture yourself. For me, I've developed some habits. Probably when I'm walking from here to town, maybe I read a chunk of a book because that is consistent consistent programming of your mind. So define your vision and then align everything else towards that, your priorities. And our vision is very dear. We can pay anything for our vision. That is how resilient a vision can transform us so that we are able to come out better. And within no time, you realize even your conversation are changing. You get an opportunity, you say one or two issues, points, and the brain starts giving out because you have been feeding it consistently. So keep up, Stanley. We are here and we shall continue to work together with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm meant to believe that you are a conversation away into your resilience, and that is so evident that is coming out from the panel. And I have one question from Timothy, all the way from Kisumu, and he has directed the question to Madam Coletta because he was saying, since Madam Coletta deals with helping people to map their career plan, he was asking, does their identity play any role to be able to build their resilience?
Thank you, Timothy. Does identity play any role in helping you build your resilience? I would like a bit of clarification on that question. When you talk about identity, are you thinking about who am I as a person? Are you thinking about who am I in terms of, my purpose, my place in this world? Or are you thinking about identity in another way?
Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Maybe, okay, so maybe Lawrence, I can take that question offline. I can be in contact with Timothy and take that question offline so that I'm able to engage with him.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank
wow.
you.
My amazing audience, you can really see that this conversation is getting hot, and because of time, we can spend like the whole day trying to explain and getting deep into this. This is a conversation that we cannot run away from. So because of time, allow me to give our speakers 5 seconds each to be able to give their parting shots and how we can find them to be able to be a blessing unto us. I'll begin with, they say ladies first, so I'll throw it back to Ms. Coletta. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. 5 seconds. I will put in a quote that I have thought about a lot in the course of this week. And this is a quote by Joshua Selman. He says, when knowledge and virtue run a sprint, knowledge will win. When knowledge and virtue run a marathon, virtue will win. Life is a marathon. And because life is a marathon, we need to develop those enduring qualities, that virtue in terms of just moral goodness plus all the different virtues that go along with that to help us to win in life, which is a marathon and not a sprint. How you can get in touch with me, my website is www.colettamasharia.com, and also you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can also email me at gameplan@colettamasharia.com. Thank you very much. It's been nice engaging with all of you.
Thank you. I see a hand from Apostle Freeman all the way from Mombasa. You have a question, Apostle? Unmute your mic.
I didn't have a question, but I wanted to add something on relationship and resilience before we wind up. Am I allowed?
Yes, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
There is someone who have asked about identity. Allow me to say about identity in spiritual time part of it.
Okay.
yeah, identity. Let me deal with identity with spiritual matters. So if identity of if you as a man or as a believer, you don't understand your identity, that is who you are, what Christ has done, and what you have in Christ, your identity will be in a dilemma, because you don't know yourself, you don't know what is to be saved, you don't know what Jesus did when he died, and therefore your identity will be in a dilemma. You don't understand, and if anyone says you go this side, because you don't understand what is your identity in terms of salvation. Number two, there is what we call reciprocity, reciprocity. It is when you in relationship, you do something for someone to do something for you, or you support one another. So if someone is always in need of getting something from someone and he's not giving back to him, also that kills the relationship. You can also even see it when in the Facebook social pages. If someone does not like page or does not comment, others goes mute because they don't understand whether you like or you are in a relationship with them. So relationship is all about doing something for someone, for you also to do something more to them. So that grows and it makes relationship to be stronger. Even when in time of crisis you cry, someone will be having holding you or putting his hand in you. And then the last thing is communication. Communication in between you and your friends. You need to keep on communicating about your relationship or to give a room on communication. Then there is what Kiari have said. There is what we call, we are what we hear and what we lead. So what we hear and what we lead is very important when it comes to in terms of crisis. So okay. If you lead what you lead and what you hear, it is a mess. It will be also a mess in terms of crisis. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Wow, that is interesting. Allow me to give also a chance to our chairman. By the way, he's the one who has unmuted, but it's okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Kierie, for taking up on this call. We are here because you envisioned this and it really happened. I will humbly request that you give your remarks and as your parting shot, and how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you, Alan, for the great work. One, I will say, in moments such that the ones we're experiencing, you can adjust your strategies, but remain focused on the big vision. Don't lose focus on the big vision and on your purpose. The strategies might change. Even Samson knew when to throw away the jawbone. So identify what is transitioning. Are there some strategies that you need to transition? Are there some systems that are transitioning? Are there some habits that are transitioning? And our daily habits is our resilience building block. My belief and what I cultivate in people, I tell people this: the gold is in you. Dig in the right place. Whatever we have done, whatever we have put in books was not outside of us. We only took a step to be able to cultivate it and feed it and then bring it out well and bring it out in a way that it will add value to the people around us. I'll finish with this quote from Helen Keller. This is what Helen Keller said: when one door of happiness closes, another door opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. Probably there are some doors that will be shut in this season of crisis. Let's not remain so focused on the closed door. Let's see what are the other new doors that are opening for us. What are the other new opportunities that are opening up for us, the new markets. Otherwise, you can get in touch with me through my website, Global Leadership, CTR.org, or my email is info@globalleadershipctr.org, or Facebook, Jose Kiarie. Thank you so much. It has been nice hanging out with you guys, and we are here to get better. We are here to work together and emerge more resilient and more productive in whatever we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your effort and everything you are doing. Surely it's not in vain. Allow me to invite, last but not least, Mr. Otieno Paul Peter to give his closing remarks and where we can find him. Thank you so much.
Thank you, the moderator, and all my colleagues, panelists. Now, I'm a speaker for a reason, so you'll give me a bit of time. I want to summarize with some poem, and I said it's one of the ways. So you need to remember this. This was written by James Allen. You will be what you will to be. Let failure find its false content in that poor word, environment. But spirit scorns it, and it's free. It masters time, it conquers space. It cows that boastful trickster, chance. It bids the tyrant circumstance, to uncrown and fill a servant's place. The human will, that force unseen, the offspring of a deathless soul, can hew a way to any goal, though wall of granite intervene. But be not impatient in delay, but wait as one who understands. When spirit rises and commands, then gods are ready to obey. The idea is it will always take time. It will always look longer than it was supposed to be. But if you stay in focusing on your goal, you will be able to achieve it. Let's embrace trouble. Troubles come not to trouble, but to train us. So we need to remember that out of all this session, our intention was to ensure that you are going home more energized and more capable of handling tough situations and becoming more resilient. Remember to read a lot, read the right things, don't watch too much news, engage with the right people, keep the right company, always do things that keep you happy. Remember that you are not alone in anything and you are not inventing any new problems. All problems have been experienced. There is no new problem. People will only find new solutions and better solutions, and you could be part of the solution. Don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain. Now, to find me, let me just say that I am a leadership trainer. I train on transformational leadership and organic sales. I facilitate team buildings. I conduct ICT and business strategies and consultations. So you can always reach me for any of those services. I have 2 books. One of them is this. It's called The Making of a Symphony Orchestra. The Making of a Symphony Orchestra, Timeless Leadership. I have about 20 copies. They are printed in the UK. And that is leadership book. Then I have the other book is Live Your Dream in 7 Ds. It is on Amazon. You can download it there, or you can order hard copy still through Amazon. Now, my name is Otieno Paul Peter. So that PP is what you use for email. It is pp@liveyourdream.co.ke. I am more available on emails. The other thing is you can always get me online on my website, paulpeter.com, otienopaulpeter.com. But if you just Google my name, Otieno Paul Peter, you will get everything about me, including my website, my telephone number, email address, and everything.
Thank you.
I must thank all of you for coming, and more so those who came because I invited them, or they saw something from me. Thank you very much, all of you, even if I don't mention all your names. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Guys, my audience, I promise that it's going to be an amazing time, and truly it has been worth your investment. I am meant to believe that we won't regret for making a decision to be able to join us. And before we have our closing, very, very last closing remarks, I wish to take a comment from our audience, whether they are remarks, whether the observation. The floor is open so that they can give their experience. Mr. Peter Njau, your mic is muted. Let me unmute for you. Peter Njau, your mic is muted. Okay, now you can speak.
Yeah, building resilience is very good at this time because we manage emotions that are happening. This is a very good time for emotional maturity because right now you come to your senses when you see things are not working the way they should do. And nobody is a failure if he dares to try to do something worthwhile. So we keep doing something every day and we will come out victoriously with the crown of rewards. Thank you. I'm through.
And by the way, just to mention, Mr. Peter Njau is one of us in our group, Generational Author. He has authored an amazing book on diet, if I'm not wrong. And yes, you can always get in touch with him after.
Yes. Okay, I'm through.
Hello, Alan.
Alan?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to myself. I was saying, allow me to register my sincere appreciation to my panel, who happens to be my fellow authors, and to you, amazing audience, for your time. As truly you can see, it wasn't a waste of your time. I know there is a value of your time that you got out of this. I don't take it for granted. I can't find the right words on how to appreciate you guys. I know and I truly believe that this conversation will keep on going, and we are organizing something of sort in the next conversation. Be sure to be tuned in, and we will keep you in the loop. I've been your host, yours truly, Alan Lawrence. Allow us to pray. Father, Lord, we come before your presence to say thank you for this an amazing time that we've been with you. At this particular time that we've been discussing matters to shape our destiny. God, we pray that this word may it be engraved in our hearts and in our mind to do accordingly, my Father. How we pray that King of Kings, may you take charge. We pray for everyone who was connected here, God. May they experience your touch. We pray and cover our speakers. God, may you be of great help to them. May you increase wisdom in them. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. And everyone can live at their own pleasure. Thank you. At least get in touch to know somebody, ask for their number. You never know, maybe that's your destiny helper. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
What's that smell?
Wow, I see Alan has left.